Hello, my name is Crazy Owl, and in today's video, I'm going to be showing you guys how you can fix up the boring paths that might be in your world. And if your paths aren't very boring, which I assume they might not be, they might be, I don't know, you can still get some useful tips on this video to make your not boring paths different types of not boring. So without further ado, let's get right into the video. So in this video, I'm going to be showing you 5 tips, and some of them just have to do with block palettes, others have to do with the way you make your path, but the first one is the path shape, and in this path, it is a perfectly straight line. And if you're building a city and you want to make the road perfectly straight, that's fine, but if you're going for a more rustic or medieval look, or maybe it's in a garden, then you definitely want to change up the shape. And all you're going to need for this is a shovel. I'm in creative, so I'm grabbing netherite. Don't really need to. I could be using wooden. You could be using wooden. It doesn't actually change anything. And technically, you'll need some grass blocks to replace the spots of the path that you want to get rid of. But you can also put any block on top of it and just destroy it, and it'll leave dirt underneath. So to give your path some interest, just kind of give them like a bit of a wiggly shape, a couple imperfections here and there. They don't need to be perfect. And it'll give it a lot more of an interesting, wavy, rustic look, like they've been worn down. Maybe there was something in the way that stopped it from being perfectly straight, and already within seconds we've made our path a lot more interesting and a lot less boring. Obviously under this door I have a coarse dirt because I don't want to just leave it as grass or spruce or whatever, but that's also part of our next tip, is to make, if you want to make a bit of a dirt path, you can use coarse dirt, and you could also use spruce wood if you want, but that one's more optional, and that adds a little bit of a dirt texture to your path, and it makes it a lot more interesting and a lot less flat. And also, what you'll notice is that when you place blocks, the path in between also gets a little bit darker. I'm not sure exactly why that is game mechanics wise, but you can get some interesting texture with the grass path while doing that. And also, if you have a wider path, so let's say you have a path that's like 5 blocks wide, I'd suggest making the middle of the path more grass blocks and the outer edges more spruce and coarse dirt, because it almost makes it fade into the grass and it looks like the middle is more worn. But that's also up to you. Obviously, you don't have to do that. And now already our path is looking really nice. So the next tip we have is a different option for a texture, which is a sort of gravel path. So I've used a structure block to copy down the same path a bunch of times so that we don't have to edit this main one, because I do really like the look of this type of path with this house that's right here. And for this gravel path, I suggest something that you might have heard before, but you also might have not heard. Obviously use gravel, but also you can use coral blocks. My favorites are Dead Tube coral block and Dead Brain coral block, and those also have a sort of rocky, gravelly texture. And also you could use tuff. And the reason that I like those set of blocks specifically is because all of them are a slightly warm-toned gray. And what you'll notice is that if you put stone against either of these, it makes the stone almost look cool or grayish. If you compare those two gray colors, the coral almost looks warm or yellowish or orangish. And that is something important because it gives your path sort of a same tone look. And the tuff has almost a little bit of a green tone, but it still looks a little warmer than the stone block. And the tuff is kind of optional. I actually don't think I'll be using it in this path just because I like the look of these 3 blocks together, but you definitely could. And gravel isn't quite as warm-toned as the coral blocks, but it definitely is. And if you want to make this easier, if you have a path that already has spruce, coarse dirt, and path blocks, you can just replace it. Now, this won't be most cases, to be fair. Most people aren't building off of the same path 3 times. But in case you are for some reason, you can just do this. So I'm replacing all the coarse dirt with Dead Brain coral, all the spruce with Dead Tube coral, and all the path blocks with gravel. And after creating this path, there's one small issue, and that is that it doesn't have much depth to it. It doesn't have much texture. And obviously it looks okay like this, but one thing you could do also is put some grass blocks or dirt blocks or really whatever pathable blocks you have on hand just inside here, and then turn them into paths. And it kind of makes it sort of fade into the grass. And if you don't need the 3D look and you're looking for something that isn't so dark and contrasting, you can also throw some coarse dirt in there and even in the middle of the road as well. And that kind of makes it blend with the grass a little more and adds some color. And here we have our gravel path. Now, the next three options are different types of stone or brick paths, and the diorite one is probably my least favorite. I actually like the way this combination looks in builds, but it looks kind of white and has a very strong contrast on the grass, so I'm not going to be using this one. But the other two I actually really like, and if you are building a straight road, I really suggest using either stone or granite because it makes it look very clean and intentional, unlike with the gravel and the dirt paths where it looks like it's supposed to be a little rustic. But you can also use these cobblestone and brick combinations for twisty winding paths, and you can use the same coarse dirt strategy that we used on the gravel one to give it a little bit more of a rustic look. So on these paths, I'm going to replace the coarse dirt with stone bricks on this one, the spruce with stone, and everything else with cobblestone. And there we have a bit of a rocky path, and I'm going to do the same thing that I did to the last one, put some coarse dirt on the outside and maybe even on the inside to kind of break up the very rocky texture. And then for this final path, we're going to be using a granite and brick combination, so I'm going to be replacing the spruce with polished granite, the main path with bricks, and the coarse dirt with granite. And I like the brick texture because brick paths, I don't know, you don't see them super often, but when you do, they look really nice. And the combination with the granite kind of breaks up the rest of it, makes it so that it doesn't look too clean and polished. Maybe it's been walked on a little bit, maybe there are some rocks there. It's up to you what the story is. And that is all 4 different texture options, and of course you could really do anything. There's way more you could do. If you wanted a bright blue path, you could use warped nylium, warped wood, even prismarine. If you wanted a copper road, you can use copper. If you want to throw in some bricks or terracotta, raw copper. If you want a green path, slime, emerald, green terracotta, I guess that doesn't really match, lime concrete. There's a million different things you can do, and all you need is 3 different blocks of similar color, and you can create a path to fit basically any setting or theme in the world, in the universe, really. You can create a galaxy path for all I care. There's so much you can do with paths in Minecraft, but there's one final tip I'd like to give you, and this really is only for if you want a very rustic, run-down look, but create a bit of a frayed, like, broken down path. So throw some fence posts in, some logs as, like, lamp posts maybe, make some of the fences taller, put some lanterns on the posts and the logs. Just kind of mess around with a broken down fence look. It really adds a lot of texture and makes the build really interesting, at least in my opinion. And now, walking in here, you have a really immersive experience. And this isn't part of the main 5 tips, this is more of a terraforming tip, but if you want a quick way to make your path and your area look really rustic, just spam some bone meal, throw down some bushes if you've got them, and then it looks even cooler. And if you want to make it more detailed, you can pick out the flowers and have it just be grass, or even not have bone meal over the entire thing and pick certain places that you want to be overgrown with grass. But I don't really have time for that right now, and besides, I think in this yard that hasn't been taken care of in years, there would probably be some wildflowers growing, so I'm just gonna leave them there. But that is going to be it for today, so thank you for making it to the end, because most people don't. I don't even know if anyone will see this part of the video. If you enjoyed it, make sure to like and subscribe, and have a great day. See you in the next one.